Good day, listeners. Today is Saturday, 20th of January, 2024. The time is 3 p.m. My name is Ashka Rigo. I am your host, along with my co-host, Zaynah Ali. And this is the show, Liberation Education. Previously, we have spoken on Islamophobia worldwide and Muslim women representation. We are also here with Fawziah Abrahams, and we are very happy that you are here with us. She will be speaking for Women Within Network, and this is about, maybe Zaynah can just introduce her before I continue.
Last week about women empowerment, we found Fawziah Abrahams, who is here with us today. Alhamdulillah. So Fawziah is one of the leaders of Women Within Network. So this organization is a great example of women empowerment. So Fawziah is here to educate us about this organization that they started.
Assalamu alaikum, listeners, and to the co-host Ashika as well as Zaynah.
Assalamu alaikum, Fawziah. We are so happy that you are here with us. Before we start, shukran for all of you for being tuned to Islam Live Radio. Remember, you may check us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, where you can like, share, and subscribe. For any queries, email us islamaliveradio@gmail.com, or you can send us a WhatsApp on 081 217 6012. That is 081 217 6012. We must also give a disclaimer before getting into any of the content that we'd like to share with you today.
Disclaimer of Islam Alive Radio. The views and opinions expressed by any guest or presenters of Islam Alive Radio are not necessarily the views and opinions of Islam Alive Radio. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter. WhatsApp us on +27 8121 76012. That number again, +27 8121 76012. Or pop us an email on islamaliveradio@gmail.com. islamaliveradio@gmail.com.
That was the disclaimer, and we are back with Fawziah Abrahams. Fawziah, tell us about yourself and your studies, background, and identity. Before we go into the organization that you lead, we'd like to know a bit more about you.
My name's Fawziah Abrahams. I'm 32 years old. I was born and raised in Port Elizabeth, known as Quebec now. I relocated to Johannesburg about 10 years ago. 2014 actually. I'm a graduate of law. I did a BCom in law, a LLB, and in 2020 I finished up my master's in corporate law. For the most of my career part, I've been in the insurance industry as a legal and compliance specialist. I'm currently a head of compliance at one of the big insurance companies in the financial industry. I have done lecturing. I'm also, my most precious battle being a mom of a 4-year-old boy. And I am one of the founders and directors of the Women Within Network that we will be discussing today. And then, I just wanted to mention was that the reason or what initiated the network, or I think just the connection to women empowerment before we even get into the beginning of the Women Within Network is just from a very young age. I was always surrounded by strong women. My mother, my grandmother had a very close relationship with her. And then also my aunties, and, they all had an influence on me. And from that, I always knew, based on that influence, that there's so much power in having women support each other and also having some sort of support base and connection with other women. So you have different ideologies, everyone being the individualistic ways and development. That kind of influences you as a person as well. So, and that, so from a very young age, and just like you asked for my background with how does that actually speak into network, having seen that and having been influenced by these women that actually raised me, made me realize the power of women. And yeah, so, but we'll get more into the actual start of the network.
It's great to hear about the actual women, like, behind the organization and why it has such an impact, because you yourself are impacted by strong women, right, Zaynah?
Yes, you. But yeah, I would also, like my mom, so our parents, they're all great people. Anyways, the second question is, can you briefly describe what women within network is all about?
The Women Within Network is a for women. The aim of our network was always about, like, as the name itself, awaken the woman within. Our aim is to nurture, nourish, develop the woman that you already are. Our strive is to always help each other on this journey of life. But it's really about creating the safe space to just be themselves, and then also to be empowered in various facets of their lives. That's why when we get into, like, the type of work that we do have, it focuses on various subject matters that that impacts women. But it's literally to just ensure that women understand that they don't need anything beyond what's within them, to strive in life and this journey of life. That's the Women Within Network.
I love how you say your inspiration for it, and how you describe Women Within Network, and actually why you started in the first place. I believe you mentioned to me when we spoke about how when COVID hit and everything started falling into place, and you really wanted to bring women together. Can you just speak on that?
Yeah. So the network started in 2020 during hard lockdown. It was just me. I, at the time, was going through, I started a role as a manager, new in my managerial role. I was new as a mom. COVID hit. There were so many elements, that was affecting, I think, not just me, but many women at the time. As we know from a statistic point of view, as well as just experience that women carried a lot more of, a lot more expectation in the workplace on women during COVID. And there was always that need to, like, just reach out and be able to connect with other women that were going through similar things that I was going through. So the network was started as a soft skill type of workshop where women would come together. We'll talk about time management. How do we manage our time during this hard lockdown? I know a lot of people probably during hard lockdown had so much time on their hands. I felt like a lot more other women were suffering. We didn't know what to do. How do we squeeze in self-care time? Everything is on us. So started out with that element of connection and support. And then eventually now where we are, a registered NPC, run by a lot more women that have the same values, same objectives, same mission as what we all have, and then just striving for those same sort of purpose.
Yes, I definitely love that about your organization and the inspiration behind it with COVID and self-care, self-development of all types of women in their diversity despite adversity, and I find that very powerful. And before I continue, I'm currently located at Langebaan Boutique Hotel, which links to the self-care because they allowed me to host here. So if you ever want to pop into this location, yes, I'm currently located here. But just this idea of self-care and, the importance of self-development for women, even during very tough times, it's super important. And I'm glad that your organization, stands for that.
So I'd like to know, why do you think this organization is so important at a time like this? Because of what's happening around the world, like Congo, and so why do you think it's important to have an organization like this here?
I do. So again, it goes back to the element of having women come together, right? And also creating that safe space so that even if you have varying opinions on the matter, whether it is on Palestine or whatever, you allowed to, voice your opinion, and then also be open for others to like share why they think what you're saying is wrong, or educate. And it's just that safe space to allow women to feel all the emotions. So you might be angry as well, because I think we all have gone through those phases where we were emotionally drained, having to deal with everything that we're seeing on social media all the time, having that connection with a woman and sharing that type of viewpoint, like seeing kids cry, like dying, and not knowing how do we share this, where that you'll have that space to actually just be yourself. And I think the network itself has created that space. We've never done a workshop on it, but it's always been a point of like where we can educate you of what is going on. And if we don't know the answers, we can find someone that has the answers. We'll go and do the research, share that if anybody has questions. I've had a number of ladies that asked about some of the things that I might have posted on my personal page. So, our other forum members as well. And we are literally open to sharing that information. And I think that's where this network comes into play, because you're networking with women from various walks, might not have the same awareness, exposure that you have.
Yeah.
So it's like creating that tool base or that knowledge, sharing that with them so that they can make their own opinion, and form their own opinion on what you've shared. And again, walking away, not judging, not criticizing, but, showing empathy in a way and giving someone time to process information as well. So, yeah.
I think that it is very important because they don't have to speak and to listen to them. It's nice to have someone there. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Zaynah. It's very important, especially when, we are all isolated at a point. It's good to have these discussions and talk to other women about what's happening around the world, especially Palestine, Congo, Sudan, and much more. The struggles that are happening, not to let the voices or decline the voices of male or men, Muslim men or any other men, but just the women and what they are struggling with right now, like sanitary pads or like their period during these times. It's a struggle for women, and to just have these discussions amongst ourselves, and actually, instead of looking at social media and feeling really discouraged, to have these conversations with other women so we can encourage each other to build that knowledge against the abuse of power even more. And that leads me on to the next question for Fawziah. With all that we spoke about now, what is like your vision, the future, like your mission of this organization that you already started?
So our future outlook for the organization, it's not necessarily my vision. It's a vision that the forum ladies have put together and we all agree on, is to eventually have we're registered, right? We're registered as an NPC, a non-profitable company, and the aim of that is to eventually have some sort of income stream, that pays for our volunteers, that pays for some of our forum members and some of our members that are part of our network, but also to create more sustainable outreach programs. And we focused a lot more on sustainable programs in the year, and the reason for that is because we never, in the first 2 years of the network, it was always just about workshops. And I think from the experience of running numerous workshops through the last 3 years, was that not idea, but the experience of women coming, feeling inspired, attending an online session, and then leaving, and then forgetting about what it is we spoke about 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
We all go through that experiences. You attend these lovely workshops, you feel inspired for like a week, and then after that you forget what what the purpose of the workshop you attended. Hence, our focus is predominantly on sustainable programs, which means it should have a long impact on the women, on the girls that we do, run these mentorship programs with as well. So to create more sustainable programs in future that outlives us, it outlives the women that are part of the film. And it creates this concept and legacy where whoever joins this membership going forward, and even in the past, we still have women on board that's joined, that's resigned, women that have come and presented and are still members. But the intention of being part of this network is that you're not only here to develop and empower yourself, but you're also here to empower others. So you give and you take, and it's that relationship of collaboration. And it's to see more of that going forward, with this program.
Definitely. I think that reminds me of a saying that goes, give someone a fishing rod and they'll fish for the rest of their life, or something like that. So you're actually just giving them the tools to actually thrive from now. It's not only about short term but long term as well. Right. We will be taking a short break since it is 3:17, and after the break we will continue with the show Liberation Education Chapter 3.
Join me, career coach Verana Hassam, every Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. South African time on Islam Alive Radio for the Career Clock Show, where we will discuss all things career related. Looking forward to it.
Greetings from Islam Alive Radio. The time now is 3:22. Before the break, we discussed Fawziah Abrahams. She spoke about herself and the inspiration for the women within network.
So, Fawziah, you've hosted summer workshops in Women Within Network. Can you name a few from the series of programs and what is included in them?
So we've hosted a number of workshops, but not just, we've hosted, most of our workshops were hosted online because, it started obviously during COVID. Some of them were in respect of, when we just started, it was more aligned to what we were going through during COVID. So that was financial wellness, from a financial perspective. And I'm mentioning this first because from experience now, some of the women that we've engaged with lost their husbands, lost their spouses, lost their dads, and these were main income providers that came, that provided the income in houses. So they quickly had to learn how to manage households, how to pay bills, how to open up bank accounts, and we felt that there was a huge need for that type of awareness and training for women, especially from that perspective. And then with that, we brought in your wills and estate planning, because some women would then struggle because there wasn't a will in place and so forth. And so we brought in experts, legal experts, to come and speak to us about what goes into planning, putting a will together. If your spouse or partner has to die, what happens after that in terms of estate planning? And if you die as well, what do you need to do in preparation of that, and that what comes from that? So we did a lot of those talks during COVID, during that period, but then also speaking about mental illness. I think a lot of people went through a period of depression because there was no social interaction. We weren't allowed to interact. We weren't allowed to see people face to face, for some time. So it was doing online workshops about that, handling that, scheduling time for family, learning tips, tools that we could use to manage the experience during that time. At the same time, we also did we did a series on just nutrition and fitness and keeping fit during COVID.
Wow.
So during the COVID period, we focused on that element based on what was happening at the time. We then would go into other areas such as imposter syndrome, which was, I felt during 2021 was probably the word of the moment. A lot of women were experiencing it. I personally was going through it at the time, and we couldn't put a name to this experience. And then what we did was we brought in, I think we probably had the most panelists on that specific workshop. We probably had about 10 ladies, if not maybe 8 ladies that came in, spoke about imposter syndrome, what that meant for them, how to deal with it from a professional point of view. And that was also a good conversation that we have, because these are tools that we still use today, and we go through various phases in our lives where you might be going through imposter syndrome 3 times in your life, but the same tools would apply. We then also focused on parenting as a millennial. What does that mean to you? With a segment in there, we had a therapist at the time that came. We actually had 2 therapists that had come on board, and they just discussed various tools of being present with your child, how to manage the parenting relationship with your spouses. If you have an ex, how do you manage the co-parenting relationship? And then the rest of them was more on your soft skills, your time management, building your confidence, coping again with COVID. Women Health Month, we also did a series on that. We got doctors on online, and they basically did a discussion on what type of checks we need to do as women, and when and how often. So we could ask them a million questions, that we wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable asking our own doctor, because our doctor might not be a male. We were able to ask these type of questions to women that have obviously now gone through their own experiences. So that was also a lovely session that we had, and we received a lot of feedback when we did those type of questions. And so those are the ones that we did prior to our themed workshop series. We also have our themed workshop series, which I'll get into in a bit.
There's actually a lot I want to unpack because the organization is so, what's the word, it's multidimensional. You don't only speak on one topic, but so many that relates to women, like the World's Trust Essay Planning. That's so impressive, by the way, to actually deal into that, especially your position with your masters and your studies, but also imposter syndrome and you know what that entails with parenting as a millennial and your nutrition. So it's all these layers, and I find that just amazing how you don't only focus on one specific struggle or one condition, but all of that as well. And I heard you also held fundraisers for these different things. So please tell us about those efforts for fundraising and the results, other than the workshops, but the fundraisers behind it.
So the fundraising element of projects and so forth, it's actually very new. We've only started doing it connected to the Women Within Network recently since we've been registered. So, and most of them were in line with our mentorship program. So we've done like a sanitary pad drive for our mentees. And then we also did a 2023 stationery drive also for our mentees. And I mean, it's been our first projects that we've done fundraising efforts. And we've done quite well. We raised in total over 22,000 rand, which was used. And I mean, this was like just once off, and I think it's probably as young as 6 months or maybe a year, since we started these fundraising efforts. And then we also, so that was specifically for the mentorship program, but now we're also looking at different avenues. We had a high tea with our launch of the actual registered MPC. And again, besides the fact of it being a fundraising initiative, it was also a means to connect with other women. So our high tea was not just a fundraising high tea, women come, have cookies and tea and talk, but it was around femininity. So the discussion, we had a range of ladies. We actually had four panelists that day, if I can clearly remember, and they all came from all walks of life. One was a woman that started a running club, a women's only running club. We had another that was running her own business, Sorry for Change, and she was employing women and teaching women entrepreneurship skills, but also skills development. And then we had an author. We also had Covered M, who had started her own publication. And these ladies who come on, and the topic was on femininity and what does that actually mean to you as a woman. And everyone had various viewpoints on it, and it was such an educational high tea. Like, I feel like we left feeling renewed, but also having new intentions for ourselves, where I think, for me personally, when I left that high tea, I left knowing that I'm allowed to feel feminine. I'm allowed to engage in activities that doesn't require me to be strong, and it's the discussion was mostly around that, and different people had different views, and again, it was that safe space to allow you to have these type of conversations, and everybody form their own opinion and leave feeling renewed, having renewed intentions as well as to how you're going to actually take going forward. And then we also had a Ladies Only Hike, which is also a fundraising initiative, but this one was more aligned to being active, why it's important to be active, and also to go out in nature. You don't have to being active does not have to cost a lot of money. You don't have to pay a membership fee, but at the same time, we know that there's elements that affects us as women. We cannot just go and because of either where we live or just being women. There's so many dangerous elements there, so we do it as a group. There's not just one person going out on a hike, and if we do go on hikes, it will always be more than X amount of women, so we have that support as well. And it's like the Ladies Only Hike, we do intend on having maybe every third month or fourth month, having these type of interactions where women can actually meet each other and build relationships and get out in nature. So at the same time, we're doing a fundraising element of it, but also, so we're raising money, but also creating forms of connection. So that's just four items that we've done so far in the period of 1 year, and I do know that we have a lot more that we have planned for the next year.
Okay, so who are the leaders behind this initiative?
Okay, so at the moment there's 3 of us. So before we had a very large forum of ladies, and they were part of our supporting forum. But at the moment we have 3 directors based on the MPC requirements. It's myself, it's Aisha Armstrong, and there's also Yumna Abadir Williams. So there's three ladies that are involved in the directorship from a legal perspective, but we also have, women that are part of our support group. So if we do run projects, we would then put out feelers. Is anybody available to assist us in putting this project together, in doing the running around and so forth? And this is literally sometimes taken from the membership base, which currently I think we have over 100 ladies in one of our WhatsApp groups. But there's 3 directors, and then, like I said, we have a support forum that changes depending on the ladies' capacity.
This is very impressive, the fact that you have such a wide reach of women, and you have these 3 leaders, yourself, Aisha and Yumna, just have this amazing project of workshops, and the fundraisers are just really a great initiative to hear about. Okay, we'll be taking another short break, and after the break we will continue with the show Liberation Education. Shukran.
Assalamu alaikum. Islam Alive Radio, a dynamic online radio station in Cape Town and Johannesburg, extends warm greetings. We offer businesses a unique opportunity to advertise on our station at competitive rates, providing extensive brand exposure through live broadcasts, social media, and physical merchandise. The advertisement options include live reads before, during, and after shows, as well as during main programs and on various platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. We also offer personalized reels and sponsorship for a show of your choice. Tailor-made packages with pricing incentives are available, featuring benefits like a free live outside broadcast at your business and the opportunity to engage listeners or customers. Special rates are offered for registered charities, aligning with Islam Alive Radio's commitment to humanitarian aid for those in shelters, including children, the elderly, and single parents. Interested parties are encouraged to contact the team for further details. The message concludes with warm wishes for blessings, health, and prosperity, expressing hope for a successful collaboration. Contact details, including email, social media, and banking information, are provided for your convenience. Please contact us on 081 217 6012. 081 217 6012. Assalamu alaikum.
يا طبطب ودلع يا يقول انا اتغيرت عليه انا زعل اولع ما هو كل همه ازاي يرضيه يا طبطب ودلع يا يقول انا اتغيرت عليه انا زعل اولع ما هو كل همه ازاي يرضيه قولوا له ده انا برضه ساعات بحنان مرة زعل مرة اديله عيني مين فينا على حاله كل الأوقات ده تعبني قوي طلع عيني قولوا له ده انا برضه ساعات بحنان مرة زعل مرة أطبطب ودلع يا يقول أنا اتغيرت عليه أنا زعل ولع ما كل همه ازاي ارضيه قال انا بتغير والله ده عقله صغير حير قلبي معاه وحكم القوي بموت فيه قوي وده اللي صبرني على هواه قال انا بتغير والله ده عقله صغير حير قلبي معاه وحكم القوي بموت فيه قوي وده اللي صبرني على هواه قولوله ده انا برضه ساعات بحالات مرة زعل مرة اديله عيني مين فينا على حاله كل الأوقات ده تعبني قوي طلع عيني قولوله ده انا برضه ساعات بحالات مرة زعل مرة اديله عيني مين فينا على حاله كل الأوقات ده تعبني قوي طلع عيني أطبطب ودلع يا يقول انا اتغيرت عليه انا زعل اولع ما كل همه ازاي ارضيه يطبطب ودلع يا يقول انا اتغيرت عليه انا زعل اولع ما كل همه ازاي ارضيه يطبطب ودلع يا يقول انا اتغيرت عليه انا زعل اولع ما كل همه ازاي ارضيه
Greetings from Islam Alive Radio. The time now is 3:40. Before the break, we discussed the workshops and the fundraisers of Women Within Network. And we are back with Fawziah Abrahams. Fawziah, you mentioned how within the workshops you also have themes or designated monthly themes over the year. And I'd like you to just go into these themes. Tell us about them.
Yeah. So in the last 2 years, we obviously now with the podium, and not just doing workshops when the need arises. We actually now follow an annual plan, and then the annual plan is split up into quarters. In each quarter, we had a specific theme that focused on various elements that affect a woman. So in the first quarter, we focused on reawakening yourself, which started out with developing your self-confidence, reevaluating your goals, trying to understand yourself as well. Who are you beyond your title, beyond the things that you carry? And then focusing from that element of reawakening who you are and then moving forward to okay, these are the goals that I have. These are the vision board that I would like to put together based on the goals that I have. Because a lot of women, and I can attest to this, from the minute you become a mother, everything changes.
Yeah.
Your priorities changes, the way you see things change. So, the goals that you might have had before motherhood is different from the goals that you have after motherhood. And sometimes you need to either realign your goals or reawaken some of those goals, or just, start goals afresh now, because things like, and I think, from that specific series, a lot of that came up. And then for our younger girls, with our mentorship program, we also ran these workshops, and it was nice to see the girls have this approach where it was they'll speak about their dreams and their aspirations, and they will get them talking about stuff that they actually like, that they would love to achieve, and it might not be something that you see for them, but you allow them to be their authentic self and run with it. And we've done a session with them as well. The thing that they came up with was amazing, and we told them, we'll put this up on your cupboard. This is the thing that's going to guide you and, create this purpose in life. You can always go to it when times are tough. You go forward, this is where I see myself. This is the stuff that I want. But anyway, these were the themes that we had, and each theme would then we'll kind of meet the objective of that theme through an article, through an IG live, or a workshop, right? So that was the first one. The second one we did was prioritizing your health. We focused in the previous years. We focused, like I mentioned earlier, and we had an IG live with experts, doctors coming on board, telling us what to do in terms of check-ins. What are the check-ins you should be doing as a woman? Like breast awareness and so forth, breast cancer awareness and so forth. We also had last year did a IG live with a cancer survivor and spoke about her journey, and the support that
Her
she needed and
experience,
so
yeah.
forth. And exactly. So that was one of the elements that we focused on. We did the hike as well that we did. That was part of that particular theme. But again, before we did like a wellness panelist discussion with experts, fitness instructors, nutritionists based in Cape Town actually, and Aziza. She did a lot of talks on what to do in terms of nutrition and what type of diet to follow. She doesn't like the word diet. It's gonna kill me if she hears me using the word diet. But she'd come on board and teach us and educate us about nutrition, and especially for women. And then we also spoke about menopause, uh, which I also feel like there's a lot of popularity being gained now on that topic, especially in the podcast world, which I think is a good thing because I feel like I'm not there yet. But I feel like our aunties or my mother or our mothers in general, needed to have more awareness on what is menopause, how do you actually handle it, how do you handle the change in. So we had someone that did more took on that, but we obviously going forward focus more on that as well. But that was on prioritizing your health. We then had navigating a relationship, which is currently the quarter that we're in. So in this specific quarter, we will be doing like IG lives on various topics. Again, topics affecting all of us. So that is dealing with difficult relatives. How do you actually deal with difficult? If you are thinking about marriage, as a youngster or someone that has been married before, how do you actually pay for that? How do you, and again, it's not limited to Muslim men, but, if dating is your thing, how do you get back into dating, or what are the pros and cons of the dating world? And again, getting experts that obviously have now done this, have gone through all the chats and teach us about this, and what is happening in today's society in terms. Also looking at dealing with divorce, if you are going through a divorce, how do you deal with that legally and mentally? So again, getting our in-house therapists, which we currently have, to come in and talk to us about dealing with what happens in a case where parents are going through a divorce. How would that affect the kids? How do you minimize the effect on the kids and on you as a person that's going through a divorce? And then also from a legal perspective, how do you prevent issues later from maintenance claims, from, let's say that there's obviously estates that needs to be divided if you are married in terms of law, how does that need to be done? So those are conversations that we're going to be having via IG. Again, previously we've had discussions on this, like the parenting as millennial, we've done that already. But going forward, these are the topics that we're looking at from a navigating relationship perspective. And then also the other element that also affects you from a navigating relationship perspective, from a professional viewpoint, is like dealing with difficult colleagues. If you are in the corporate world, have your own business, how do you deal with difficult employees? How do you deal with difficult employers? How do you deal with colleagues that are just difficult to deal with?
Yeah, I love those discourses that you have, because it helps women go through, it's every day, we go through this every day, and many women experience these, and for you to have a platform to discuss them, how to deal with these, even the professional level of it, like estates and wills, that's very important, and not many women know about that.
And it affects various elements. It's not just the one element. Sometimes we forget that. We sometimes just go unconsciously. not thinking that there are solutions to do this better. And it's literally creating that awareness for years. So now let's find solutions. Let's learn from women that have gone through this. Let's learn from experts that deal with this on a daily basis. So that should a relative go, or should I go through that, I know I have the tools to go through it in a better way. And yeah, the last one, that's also something that I think we all are looking for, because when I spoke about this the last time, many women actually reached out to me on this one, and that's financial wellness. So we're looking at, previously we've done like a series on financial wellness, like I mentioned, with regard to the estate planning and so forth. But this specific also be on, estate planning, financial coaching, budgeting for your home, budgeting, personal budgeting for your family, but then also an element of entrepreneurship that we're looking at, which is starting your own business. If you have all these ideas, but you don't know where to start, how do we put a business plan together? How do we market? How do we talk to? So we'll be talking to other entrepreneurs that are obviously doing whatever it is that we would love to do, and learning. And then the other element of wellness that we all hide away from, or sometimes like, that's something our spouses do, or dads do, or the male counterpart does, and that's the taxes, right? Some taxes, some
Yes.
returns. How do we do that? I think we all struggle with taxes. Even our male counterpart struggles with taxes. So it's getting a tax expert on board, having a discussion on that, or maybe a podcast or article just on like the basics of taxes. We can do our own taxes from a personal capacity, but also from a business perspective. And these are the themes, and it's quite a lot, it's quite a mouthful, and I can talk about it forever. But that's literally what we have as our themes for our annual.
I feel like it is very important, bringing out all those professional people. For sometimes we need to go search on Google and all those things, but now you actually directly ask someone that is educated about this, and that really, it's amazing that you're giving those people opportunity to do those things, to have that. It's very nice. So what is the mentorship program about?
Okay, our mentorship program is a system, and it was initiated in late 2022, and it really kicked off last year. And the reason I say that, because before we kicked off the program, we had a training program for the mentors, because the program itself is a new program, so we needed to ensure that the expectation that we had on our mentors was there. They knew what is being expected, and they also the idea of like we're all on the same page. The purpose of it was to create this network of support that's beyond the home for the girl. It's supposed to provide this real-time practical advice for the girls, right? So our girls are, we had 15 girls. They range between the ages of either 12 and 16, and they would then be linked up with a mentor. The mentor itself was, again, women from all walks of life. They could be professionals, they could be a housewife, a teacher, a lawyer. It doesn't matter, as long as you had the interest to, advise, the interest to actually become a mentor, and the time and the capacity, right? We would then provide the tools for the mentors to kind of navigate some of the challenges. And these challenges came about during the year. One of the biggest challenges that we, again, being a new program, that we actually discovered was, that connection, trying to connect the girls and getting the girls to connect and relate with mentors. We then reached out with, again, an expert that could assist us in that, and we had a program and also a workshop around creating that connection with the mentor and mentee. But with that being said, we hosted many sessions where the girls would meet up with their mentor. The mentor would check in with the girls, whether via telephone, via WhatsApp, and just making sure that they are available and present if the girls need any sort of the growth and development objective of the mentee was always our focus, but it wasn't in terms of, like we are going to train you, we have a specific objective around that, but it was more around life skills, just sharing with him, life experiences. And just being that big sister, this is why we call it the sister program. We want our mentors to be this big sister, and that's what they were. They were the big sisters for these girls. And eventually it led to something that was bigger than what we planned. We had we had a program director at the time that ran with this program. She took full control of the tutoring program that she put together for the girls. So even from an educational perspective, we had volunteers come in, and they would tutor the girls on subject matters that they needed assistance with. And with that being said, because these girls come from an area that at the time and still today, gangsterism is quite high.
Yeah.
There's other elements of crime as well. And this would negatively impact the girls in a way where, they were going through a lot from a trauma perspective. And even that we needed assistance with. Last year, I think we had a lot of those challenges. This year we have, alhamdulillah, an in-house therapist that has now, contracted with us to do her internship with the network. So she's going to provide support for us, put programs together to assist these girls with these traumatic experiences and just assist them to kind of navigate their way through it as well. With us obviously being there overseeing that. So that's the program. There's so much more that I can talk about it, and again I can talk forever about it. And we are ending off last year's program, the end of Feb. We are currently arranging like some sort of graduation program for the girls. So we're planning that for the girls specifically, and then we'll have a whole new process of intake. We will have new mentors come on board as well as new mentees, but the girls that we currently have on board will have the opportunity to reapply. And that's the mentorship program.
This is amazing. And I would like to speak more about it in terms of the process and materials. But first, I would like to play, we'll be taking a short break again for one more ad, and then we will continue with Fawziah Abrahams and Women Within Network.
This Saturday, join me, Shamila Azvat, on Mindful Musings on Islam Alive Radio from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. South African time. I'll be sharing insights on personal growth and happiness. As a coach, author, and a nurse, I'm excited to bring you stories and tips that will enrich your life. Mindful Musings is your weekly dose of inspiration. Tune in for a journey to joy and well-being.
Okay, greetings. The time now is 3:56 p.m. Before the break, we discussed the themes of the Women Within Network and the mentorship program, and now we're going to continue asking questions about the mentorship program. Fawziah, how does this process work for the mentorship or the sisterhood program, and are there any materials that you require from newcomers in this program?
So we are starting our new in the end of Feb. We actually have to now already putting together our requirements, because the requirements are a bit different from our first day. Just because we have experts now on board that are assisting us with the legal of it. Specifically, the fact that we are dealing with youngsters, so there's that element of, the Children's Act to play. We need to make sure that volunteers are actually vetted. We need police clearance in place. So those are some of the requirements that we will be expecting for our new applicants, new mentors. We will be putting together a more detailed requirement, but for the material that we do need, from our mentors and our mentees is obviously number one, they need to show interest. So we'll need some sort of letter indicating why they were part of this program. And then
motivational letter.
yes, some sort of motive. It does not have to be very and super formal, you know, informal letter, even if it's a video, but still, again, as to how we can make this more relevant today, taking into technology and so forth. So once that's done, we would then conduct like matching exercises with the mentors, mentees. We'll then participate in a workshop. We will train them. We have a mentorship training program that was put together last year, which is currently updated. So that training program would then run over a period of maybe 2 weekends. We will then allow the mentee and mentor to interact first, before actually matching them. And again, it doesn't mean the match will be a perfect match, but it's just trying to see where, let's say, one of the girls we could see, from last year's followed a politician. Like, she was very open about it. She's like, she's going to be the president. So we made sure that we actually linked her to someone that was also vocal, that was also someone that was very strong about their opinions. That we could see that relationship blossom. The same with like some of the other interests as well. We'll take into account, but we wouldn't, follow that matching exercise to the T. Because again, like I said, it's a new program and we learn as we go. But the frequency of and the mode of engagement would also be determined by, the mentor and mentee. We are literally just seen as the support, the big sister support. We support the two of them. We ensure that they are able to navigate that relationship between the two of them. We put contracts obviously together that there must be mutual agreement of respect, and taking time and everything else, and also just the way they speak to the girls and the way the girls speak to the mentors. All of that is taken into account, and just again that support element there. But it's really up to the mentors and the mentees to take initiative.
Yes.
And that's what we want to emphasize in this new intake. We are looking again at having the tutoring program available, but it also depends on our volunteers. So what that means, we need resources for that. We need new volunteers and the material that we're going to need for that as well. And then stationery, we started a stationery drive, which I can share with you if you want to share it on your drive, for the new intakes, and also for the tutoring and all the other workshops that we run. We need the resources for that.
Yeah.
So we are collecting funds or items. If you don't want to, send the funds, you can either get the items, and it doesn't. Last year we actually collected from all three cities. We collected from Joburg. We had people sending from Durban. We had people sending from PE. We didn't have anyone from Cape Town, so hopefully one of your Cape Town listeners will also solicitation, inshallah. But we've had people courier stationery up, which we distributed it to our girls, and our girls had a good year because they had the resources that they needed for the epidemic here. That was like one less thing to worry about. We're also looking at like funds for transporting the girls because of the area that the girls are in, and at most of last year there was a lot of gang related violence that was happening. One of our girls actually, not one, but most of our girls had a relative that was impacted by this, that was either hurt. So that's trauma. So what we did was we had to ensure that the girls were transported from Rivoli to another area where these girls were given tutoring. And even with our group check-ins, we do it outside the area just for that safety, and also to just get the girls out of the area, because the girls actually love just being out of the area and going for those trips as well. So that costs money, So at the time it cost like 600 Rand per trip. So we need funds to pay for those trips if you are going to do it consistent, And then care packs for our mentees. Then obviously the other elements that we're looking at, such as year-end graduation photos and the mentees, just thanking them for their time, and the volunteers that we have. So these are just like immediate requirements. Obviously, as the year goes by, more things pop up because of all the other things that we're doing, other workshops from a broader perspective that we're doing. But these are our needs, immediate needs at the moment.
So last question for you, Fawziah, is what is your future outlook for women within network, and on which platform can our listeners follow you?
Okay, so the future outlook, as I mentioned, is to have this network, outlive us, outlive all the members that are currently involved in the network. So that going forward, we have youngsters coming, they taking over. We just, eventually sitting in the background and just being, mentors to these other girls as well. But that's the main aim of from a future perspective. But again, focusing on the sustainable element of it, we want to make sure that our programs are long term and it has a longer and more impactful impact on all of the women that are currently involved. And then if anybody wants to get involved, wants to know more about the network, they can follow us on Instagram, which is at www.net underscore work. And that's on Instagram. And then we have, like I said, the main WhatsApp group forum with all the other members in. And that link to that forum is in our bio of the Instagram page. So they can check that, or they can just DM our Instagram page. Go through all of the things that we've previously done. It's also available on our Instagram page. We also do have an email address, which is info@www.network.com. But I always say first point of reference, Instagram. That's where we do our IG lives. That's where we post everything that we do. Everything's on Instagram. And yeah, that's how they can get involved. And we really look forward to that. More engagement from all walks of life that have something to offer and who also want to receive whatever it is that we're currently doing,
Yes, shukran Fawziah so much for joining us. And on the Connecting with All Walks of Life, we are so grateful that you are with us from this walk of life in Islam Alive Radio. Shukran so much for joining us today.
For having me and for allowing us to represent, the network on the radio and to the listeners, for everyone that tuned in. Shukran, love you.
There you have it, everybody. Shukran for being tuned to Islam Alive Radio. Remember, you may check us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram and YouTube, where you can like, share and subscribe. For any queries, email us islamaliveradio@gmail.com or send us a WhatsApp on 081 217 6012. That's 081 217 6012. And also get engaged with Women Within Network.
مرحبا وسهلا كل من محله، هذا العالم أوسع بتنوعنا وأحلى. زينا المباني حققنا الأماني، عيش اللحظة معنا ودندلي ودانداني. الملعب جمعنا يلا غنوا معنا نغمة عربية. وهيا هيا 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 ويلا تهيا، بسم الله ابتدينا يا مرحب وحيا. هيا 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 الحلم بسمانا وعلى الوعد جانا، يلا نلعب سويا. وهيا
دور فالك نقول هذا تزلي أموت والليل يا لالي قال لي أنا رحلي الغالي قال لي أنا رسباني بشالي قال لي أنا رحلي الغالي قال لي أنا
Shukran for being tuned to Islam Alive Radio. Before I leave, the songs that were being played, a majority of them were from some Arabic-speaking women, such as Shireen, and the second one being Nancy Ajram and Lost Kauthar on Spotify. The final one was from Mahir Zain when it was the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Shukran for being tuned to Islam Alive Radio.